We are live. Oh, we are live. Hello, 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 family. Hello, warriors of light. Welcome, welcome to Warriors of Light show. We are here live today, coming in from Botswana on this beautiful Friday afternoon, evening. And I am here with Mukulu Kumare, who will be with us and guiding us today on the conversation of releasing the fear of Sangoma initiation. I'm really excited for this conversation and I am so grateful to have you here, Mkolo. Welcome. Welcome. So good.
And thank you for having me.
Yes. Wonderful. So before we begin to jump into the conversation, we will begin by setting sacred space, ensuring that our space is sacred, and inviting in our guides with this process. And then we will jump into you, Mukolo, come back to you, and go into the conversation from there. Yes. So for everyone who is joining us, wherever you are, whether this is live or in the replay, we ask you now to close your eyes and take a deep breath in, coming back to your heart center, allowing yourself to return to the stillness that is you, and becoming aware of your spirit that is within the heart, your permanent diamond seed atom, which may appear to you like seeing a diamond, which is connecting with your essence because you are a diamond, and allowing yourself to see that diamond glowing with liquid light, blue waters, for you are water, and allowing that liquid light to begin to move from your heart, going down like roots of a tree, going down all the way to your feet and into the earth, moving down like a root across the soil, passing the earth star that connects you to the earth, your earth star, and going into the core of earth, our mother, the heart of our mother, the galactic crystal core, and allowing yourself to connect with this alive, living, breathing energy, and releasing all the things of the week that you've been holding, all the energies of the day, putting them down so that the mother, our mother earth, can transmute them with unconditional love. And releasing now. And beginning to receive from the mother her healing energies, beginning to see this energy coming back through the same grounding cord energy, seeing a clear white light moving back again, past the earth star, into your feet, and into your body, your blood and bones, allowing this to release even all that is held in the blood, in the bones. And allowing this to move through all the way up to the top of your head. And allowing that energy to continue through your soul star, opening yourself up to connect with the great central sun. to connect with the higher realms, higher dimensions. As we welcome in the council of our higher selves here, we welcome in our luminous ancestral helping spirits, the ancient grandmothers and grandfathers that walk with every one of us. As we welcome in our primordial prime creator God, and as we open our hearts to receive the holy light and holy grace and holy spirit that will be the guiding principle of this immersion, of this transmission. And we bless this conversation with the light of God, with the support of our higher self and our ancestral helping spirit. And we receive that into the body as we take a deep breath in and out again. And we open our eyes now. Yes. Ooh. Welcome back. Welcome also Mukulu. Yes, Mukulu, you may bless us, begin blessing us now.
Okay. I would like to greet everybody who is with us in this conversation. I am Ukuthwasa Mokane. My birth name is Moemedi Maesela Mphahlele, and I'm a young Sangoma. I am a Sangoma trainee at Gobela. To start off this conversation, I would love to sing for you so that I welcome my guys into this whole conversation. Oh, so here I go. Yes, Zabela, Zabela. Oh, Zabela, uyabizwa. No, uyabizwa. Zabela, Zabela. Oh, Zabela, uyabizwa. No, uyabizwa. Zabela, Zabel, Zabela, Zabel. Zabela, uyabizwa. No, uyabizwa. Oh, Zabela, Zabela. Oh, Zabela, uyabizwa. Zabela, uyabizwa. Bemaye, Zabela, Zabela. Oh, Zabela, uyabizwa. Okay, that's a song calling for a person who is supposed to go start that training. The song is actually asking them to come, go do what you are supposed to do. Zabela uyabizwa. You are being called, answer. So I think it's very relevant with this topic that we are about to engage in. So yeah.
Thank you, Mukulu. That song
You're
is
very
so
much
powerful. It just makes my heart feel warm and really excited also for this conversation.
Exactly.
Being called by the ancestors, which is our conversation. And for the ones who are watching and who might feel called, but they have a lot of questions, I hope that we'll be able to share some thoughts and experiences and wisdom as you are. It is your work to work with those who are called, Mukulu, right?
Exactly.
And we may begin by, maybe sharing on what the calling is like and how your own calling was like, so we can understand, so we may know that perhaps we too are being called if we are watching and we didn't know before.
Exactly. Okay. With every single person is different. But there are certain may feel or be trained as Sangomas. So I will start off by explaining on how I got to know that I have a calling. Oh, I was as young as 13 when I started with the Ukuthwasa elements. I remember I was with my cousin, or they are older than me. So yeah, I was with my cousin, and as I started feeling overwhelmed, like I just couldn't handle myself at that moment. I felt I was running out of breath. And what they actually said after all that was I was telling them that I'm dying, which I couldn't remember, of course. Like, and at that very time, they took me to a a spiritual person in need for help. They had to carry me there. So when I got there, she was a prophet, what we usually call prophets. They are traditional prophets who use the Bible and water for consultation. And when the old lady consulted with my ancestors what was wrong with me, the only thing I could understand was she was saying, uh, this kid would have been dead by now, but his ancestors won't allow it because he still has a very long journey to and on planet Earth. Okay, I was young at that point. I didn't actually understand what she was talking about. And she gave me some maths, of course, which I hated. I hated the maths, but I had to use them because I knew that without using them I wouldn't get better. Time went on, and I think a few years later, that's when it started to like get really serious. I felt away from home even when I was home. The only place that made me feel like I was a whole being was when I was outside my home, like at the river, Kodikabeng in mountains. That's where I could really feel what I was alive, and yeah, I felt like a person. I felt like a normal person when I was there. But when I was home, everything was just a mess for me. Like I hated my home. I just I just felt that I did not belong. And I was schooling back then, uh, doing my high school. Yes, it all started the overwhelm. It really got serious when I was in my junior certificate studies. So after after 2 years, that's when I was doing my form three. I just had to tell somebody. I just really had to tell somebody because there were a whole lot of dreams that I couldn't understand. So I really had to tell somebody who I felt would understand, like my parents, somebody older than me. And when I started explaining to them what was happening, then boom, I got into a trance, which which I would say it made things simpler for me because I didn't really have to explain something that I didn't understand myself. So I went into a trance, and as older as they were able to understand what was going on. And I was taken to a traditional healer. The first traditional healer that I was taken to was a Tswana traditional healer, Ngaka ya Setswana. And when he consulted, he said it like it was, like this this child has a gift. He needs to go through training. And I just couldn't believe it. I knew it, but I couldn't believe it. You know, the amazement that comes with the whole thing. And we went back home, but the following day, I woke up with a dream. The dream led me to the Gobela that I went to Ukuthwasa with, who is in South Africa. She's late, by the way, may her soul rest in peace. And I went there. My parents took me there, and she consulted with me. Remember, I was awaiting my form 3 results then. So I was still left with 2 years with the 12-year basic education. So my Gobela was like, okay, he's young, he needs to finish school. That's what she said. And there were certain things that were done for me spiritually, but I had to go there every now and then, because now that was the only place that I felt at home, my Gobela's place, Emangulu Bay. So I had to go there more frequently because that's where I felt alive. And the last 2 years of my schooling was bad. It was really bad. Like, I couldn't handle it. So after I was done with my BGSE, I decided that, you know what, I'm not going to live like this anymore. I know what I am supposed to do. I need to pack my bag and leave. That's the only way I'm going to get healing. Well, in between the first consultations, there were a lot of things that were done for me to probably get me off the hooks of the ancestors. I would call that. I would say, like I once visited a certain church where they promised to deliver me from the demon, as they usually call it. Yeah, and it didn't work. I, I actually had to fake the falling thing, you know, what they do. I had to fake it so that I looked like the other kids. But because I was a kid, I really liked feeling like a normal kid, but I was not a normal kid. That I had to understand. So after my BGSE, I decided to pack my bag and leave, go start my training, because I could feel that my time was running out. And that's where my journey started. I went through my Ukuthwasa. I did my training. I came back home after 8 months. Yep. So I was familiar. I was quite familiar with the Sangoma stuff and all, but when I came into training, everything was like I went blank. I did not know what was happening. I couldn't know whether I was going or coming. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like blank. I was like a small child being introduced to a whole new world. And my Gobela was very patient with me. I remember I was only 18. So even she once mentioned it after my whole Ukuthwasa. She mentioned that I was her first trainee who was as young as I was. So it was a challenge for her too, but we managed to pull through that. And my Ukuthwasa, I finished my training, and I got my life back, which is really not getting your old life back. I mean, you're a whole different person now. You're looking at the world in a new perspective. You've learned a whole lot of things that you were not aware of. You are intact with your roots, and a whole bunch of things are really, new to you. You really have to start afresh, start with getting to know what you're all about, get people to understand what and who you are, including your family. So it's a journey on its own after Ukuthwasa. But here I am. I managed to go through my Ukuthwasa and I made it out alive. And I'm alive and kicking, and I'm loving my life to the core. I would never exchange it for anything in this world. So that's a bit about my journey. It was hectic. There was a point where I actually felt like I'm never going back home because nothing seemed to point at me going back home. I was there. I'm a trainee. I'm training, and that's all that mattered to me. I was feeling better at that point. So it was actually something that I really appreciated at that moment. I didn't want to know what was to happen next after all that, because at that point I felt relevant. I felt at ease. I felt the love around me. I felt my spirit always getting in touch with me, getting in touch with me, never ever letting me down. Whichever road I choose in life, they're always there with me. So that's basically me, Nkulu Khumari, on my journey when I started my journey. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, your journey is so unique because you were only 18 years old when you
Yeah.
initiated, and it must have really taken so much courage to surrender and to say, okay, I'm going to do it, right? Because there
A lot of
is
courage.
yes, there is so much fear, and also what we spoke about is how in our culture in Botswana, this is not something we really understand. It's also not that common.
Yeah.
The Sangoma process, being a Sangoma, it's not as common as maybe in other Southern African countries.
Exactly.
So I can just imagine being 18 years old and having to go to South Africa to be initiated. And
Leave
so
my family
the
behind.
the questions that I have is, yes, leave your family behind and go to a new country, go through a unique new experience that you probably didn't really understand, because this is not something that we understand. In Botswana, our connection with our ancestors is not as strong as, say, the Zulu, um, because some countries were able to maintain and retain that connection within their cultures and so on. But in Botswana, it's not as common. So for someone who is also feeling that deep overwhelm, who's going through that Sangoma illness, uh, and what is stopping them is that they don't understand what's happening to them. As someone who has been doing this for 10 years now, may we begin breaking down what was actually happening to you before the TRASA process? What were you being called to, so that we can understand that, and then we can move into the TRASA process?
Okay. Well, it's usually difficult understanding what you'll really be called for. It sometimes takes years, even after Ukuthwasa, to really realize and learn what you were really called into. So I would like to explain something beforehand, something that a lot of Sangomas maybe leave behind when explaining these issues. Well, in this world, in this being a Gobela world, we need to explain to Amatasaway, to our trainees, that there are different meanings of, I would say, reasons why people are called. First of all, somebody might be called for them to go through training only to heal their bodies, probably their spirits, and after all that, they go back to the world and go continue living their lives. Secondly, they may be called into traditional healing. They are called to actually heal through traditional ways, traditional medicines, and stuff. Well, with some people, it's just that Ukuthwasa, like I explained, you're just going for Ukuthwasa to heal your body and spirit, and after that, you can go back into the world and continue being corporate, continue being whatever that the world needs of you. Remember, in everything that we do, we are healing somebody, like in everything that we do. That's my perspective of life. With everything that you're doing, you are actually healing somebody. So you'll be going through Ukuthwasa and going back to your original life, I would say, original life, to continue your life, and not necessarily meaning that you should be practicing as a traditional healer. Well, with some, they are called in order to go heal through traditional ways, go practice, go continue the practice, go continue the legacy. Well, every with every single person that's going through Ukuthwasa, the process is, I would say, it's the same. It's unique for everybody else, but it's the same. Whether you were just there to heal, or you were there to heal and practice afterwards. So years after I went through Ukuthwasa, I realized that I was called to heal. Yes, I was called to heal through traditional ways because, as I said, I'm a Gobela. I train, I heal uh, in different forms. I'm I'm a one in I'm all in one package. Like I'll say all sorts of healings I provide. May it be psychological, may it be mental, may it be physical. You're getting that from me. And I'm not going to say from me because I am just a vessel that just came into this world to use my ancestral energies to heal. So it's not actually me. It's my ancestors working through me. So that's what I always tell people, that I don't really like getting all the credit for helping people. I very much appreciate it when somebody comes to my Injumba, comes to appreciate the spirits are that worked in healing them. I don't really like getting the credit. It's my ancestors who are doing it through me. So I was called to heal. I was called Ukuthwasa. That's what I'm doing now. I went to school. And after that, I haven't worked a single day in my life. This is basically me. This is basically all of me. I am a full-time Sangoma. That's what I do. I heal people full-time. So I'd say I was called to heal. I was healing in the process, and now I'm healing other people.
Yes, I like that. They are different reasons and different ways that we are called and different roles that we play. And
Exactly.
so yes, so the process is unique with your bloodline, with your mission, your ancestral energies that are working through you. And I know that for most people, and this has been the conversation throughout this series, it's really understanding the ancestors. As you mentioned before, at the church, they were saying that you are being attacked by demons, and that's where the fear is, because our conversation is about releasing the fear. So a lot of people who are called, because we were not given a lot of information about ancestors or ancestral energies, or ancestral invocation, evoking the ancestors, channeling the ancestors. So that information and that knowledge and understanding is what creates the fear, like the lack of information around ancestral energies, around why some people are called to heal the ancestral bloodline, and why some people are called to channel the ancestral energies and teach and evoke and awaken other people's ancestral energies. So maybe we can talk and expand more on on this healing of ancestral energies and what ancestral energies are, the ones that you know of, that you've worked with, and the different ancestral energies that work through different people who are within the traditional path, who are in the Sangoma path.
Okay. Well, I am a Gobela Ukuthwasa Mnguni Lemdao. That's basically what I do. With Umguni, it's a name for a certain spirit. We are foreigners. I would say we are foreigners somewhere. We are all foreigners somewhere. And even as Africans, because we are of different lands, we are foreigners in certain lands. So the whole Sangoma practice is mostly rooted in Nguni tribes. That's Zulus mostly. So that's why in most cases we're using the Nguni language, like Zulu and Sindebele. That's where we adopted the language, because that's how the training goes, and that's where it was rooted in the very first beginning, I'd say. So in such spirits, for a Zulu person to go through Ukuthwasa, they will be initiating their bloodline ancestors, their bloodline spirits. Well, if I go to a Zulu Gobela to go through the healing Ukuthwasa process, I will be going there to heal my clan bloodline spirits. So you see that I'm being foreign there. I'm being foreign because I'm going through training through under a Zulu Gobela. So what they should be understanding is they are not giving out healing to a person of the same bloodline as they are. They are doing it for a different land. That's why there are different impandas. Impandas meaning roots that we use to heal, they are different because we are dealing with different spirits. There is what we call ledimo la selegae. I would say you can try, you can help me translate that to English. Ledimo la selegae. It's more like a cleansed spirits, that of your bloodline, I'd say. The spirits of your bloodline, of one's bloodline. When you are healing such a spirit, such spirits, you are actually calling those bloodline spirits to come forth and come communicate what they are. They are there for what they want, what they actually want, and what form of healing they are looking for. So with every single clan, there is impand for them to heal. I am Pedi. I believe only Pedis, Mapedi, are the only people that can heal me. I believe that somebody who has impande ya Mapedi, roots Mapedi, can be able to help me, can be able to heal me. That's why I will say this. With every trainee that I get, one way or the other, if you look back into their bloodline spirits, you will find Mopedi somewhere along those bloodlines. There is always a Mopedi. There is always a Motswana, because I'm a mixture of a Mopedi and a Motswana. My dad is a Mopedi and my mom is a Motswana. So with both spirits, I am able to heal them. Then it comes the premier spirit. I will call it premier because it really messes people up. Umdao, the water spirits. Hey, it really messes people up because it needs very certain impande to heal. I repeat, it needs certain impandes to heal. You can never get somebody who is not knowledgeable in the journey and be able to treat or heal Umdao. And with us, Botswana, as I was saying the other day, it's actually this issue, we are not really Botswana. It's very hard to find a Motswana, I would say, a Motswana. We are always a mixture of this clan and that clan. I always tell people, there's a huge difference between Badimo Babatswang in the northern part of Botswana and in the southern part of Botswana. Well, with the northern part of Botswana, they can always get their healing mostly in Zimbabwe because they are always related in one way or the other. When I say this, the northern part of Botswana, I mean Bakalanga and the other tribes. They are always linked with Amantebele and Amashona from Zimbabwe. So that's where mostly they get their healing. And with us, people in the southern parts of Botswana, we usually get our healing from South Africa. I think the reason behind that is with us, Botswana, this whole Sangoma phenomenon is very new to us. I would say it's very new to us. It's very new to us, and it's very rare finding somebody who can offer assistance and holistically heal you, Ele Motswana, who has been in Botswana for years and who has been practicing the Tswana traditional ways of healing. Why? Because we need certain impandes to heal Amanda, which are mostly found in South Africa. So that's that kind of spirit that people complain about. Umdao, I mean, it's always ready to kill. It's always ready to destroy your life. That's if you are not willing to answer to your colleague. You are not willing to do what they are asking you to do. So those are the kind of spirits that I've worked with and I'm continuing working with, that I have a bit of experience with. So I think I've elaborated a bit on that, on the spirits that I usually work with. I hope I am communicating.
Yes, yes, definitely. It's bringing so much revelation. And, I was talking to you the other day about realizing that with Botswana, and how the reason why that's the case, where the Sangoma initiation and tradition is not so active in our land, Botswana, it's because it's connected to what you're just talking about, which is the healing of specific spirits. And we will later go into that, as in, why do we need to heal Umguni and Umdao, right? Because then
And
once we understand that, and the Dimula Selechai, and how that looks, how it's different. When you're healing the Dimula Selechai, it's a different experience, it's a different calling. It's the one that is not necessarily leading to yes, exactly. So the Tswana people, you will illuminate on this, but what I've realized is that the Tswana people, when you look at our history in the land itself of Botswana, there has not been a lot of trauma in the land, and also, so the spirits that are in this land, the trauma that is active is the one within Lidimla Selegae, which has, yes, some trauma, but because we've not had things like war in the land, we didn't experience colonization. We were protected. Botswana originally was Botswana Bechuanaland Protectorate, right? So this means that our history itself, it does not have the spirits that need to be healed. So a lot of Botswana, you find that those who are in Botswana, they're called to heal Lidimo la Selegae, and then there isn't many other spirits to heal. And however, there are some people who are here in Botswana who are called to the Sangoma, the Ukuthwasa process, because like you said, it's not that everyone who is Tswana is actually originally just from Tswana. You will find that in your bloodline, there is Zulu ancestors, there is Pedi ancestors, different types of ancestors, which might connect to the other spirits that we're just talking about. So maybe we can speak about, why do these spirits need to be healed? And why do they choose specific people to come through them so that they heal them? Because in understanding that, then we can understand why, if you are watching this and you're one of those people who are called, you can understand why you are called to heal beyond Lidimo la Selegae, your blood ancestors. Yeah.
Tapping into what you just said about Tswanas being not originally Tswana, that's where Amanda comes in. And the fact that the Tswana tribes have not really been going to war in later years, like earlier years, excuse me, earlier years, it's the reason why some people have Amandao to heal. Well, I will take this from my late Gobela's perspective of Amandao. Amandao are tribe. It's a tribe. It's a tribe. It exists, I think, in Zimbabwe and Mozambique. We've come to reach a conclusion that to call these spirits Amandao, because a lot of them are actually foreign ancestors. They are foreign to an individual. In most cases, those are spirits who were killed by your bloodline spirits. In most cases. So by coming into this generation to make you suffer is because they are after revenge. Now, them being after revenge in this generation, what we are here for as Gobelas is to heal that angry spirit, is to make it realize that it's not really your fault, that there were wars in earlier years and one of my ancestors might have come into contact with them and probably had them in any kind of way. May it bloodshed, may it be quarrels and stuff. So what we are here for as Gobelas is to heal that spirit, make it, remember a spirit is more of a human in a spirit form, I would say that. So you are able to sit down and I would say negotiate. I would say plead. I would say try to show them how remorseful you are, even though it's not your fault, but they should be some sort of, tapping into their energies and letting them know that you understand that they went through hell because of your ancestors. So what we are here for as Gobelas, we heal such spirits through muti, through dialogues. We dialogue with them. We have a conversation with them. We try to make them realize that it's not really that individual's fault, that what happened to them is not really that individual's fault. So you'll see that there is a lot of reconciliation that has to be done when you are dealing with somebody who comes carrying Amandao, who are very angry at the bloodline. There is a lot of pleasing that has to be done. There is a lot of pleading. There is a lot of conversation that should be taking place. There is a lot of muti that needs to be used in order to heal such an individual. So that's basically the reason why it's the spirits need to be healed in order to amend the past, in order for us to continue on a clean slate, to go on into a new future where you are able to work with both spirits without them feeling neglected, feeling like they were just nothing to be felt as relevant in this world. Remember, if somebody kills you, they are ending a life that would probably have been something tomorrow. So there is that grudge that lives with the spirit. And only when that spirit is healed, that's the only time that the spirit will be able to probably work with that individual in a more calmer way, in a more beneficial way, in a more positive way. That's why we always need to amend. We need to fix the past in order to continue with the future. Yeah.
Wow. That really explains why people who are called, it seems like their life before they go through the transfer process seems to collapse, and it feels like there are forces that are collapsing your life, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And so understanding the Omdawo spirits makes so much sense, because what we don't understand about our world, the world that we live in, we are here, like you're saying in the beginning, to heal and to transmute, because these traumas, they don't just end in the past, they will continue.
Exactly.
And for us to change what's happening in our realities, in our world right now, we need to repair what has happened in the past, because as spiritual beings, when we die, this is not the end. There is still continuity, because we are infinite. So that continuity,
Exactly.
the idea that, oh, the person has died, it's over, that's not how the law of our universe works. In our universe, there is always need to release all these experiences of trauma, so that we can create a world of unity, a world of abundance together as community, right? So in
Exactly.
understanding that one is chosen, is called to do the role of reconciliation for the
Exactly.
events that had happened in the past, and that in reconciling, you are not only just healing also your bloodline, but also the bloodline of the spirits
That
that
is to come.
are coming through you.
Yeah.
Yes. So you are able to help heal these bloodlines, through going through the process, and taking the medicine, the different types of medicine, so that that reconciliation can happen,
That's why we need to
right?
understand how special we are.
Yes. That's
You'll be carrying the
that's
whole
very
world in your
difficult.
shoulders.
Yes. Yes, I think one of the fears that people have, I'm opening up also for questions for those who are watching, joining us. If you have any questions for Mukulu, please send your question, and Mukulu will be able to help you and support you uh, right now. So now I lost my thought, my train of thought before this. I was saying the difficulty with seeing this as a blessing, or seeing this as a very big important job that you're doing. It's very common to not feel that, to only see the negative parts of being called and having to go through initiation and so on. And right now there is a lot of fear around that, the transfer process itself, that
Exactly.
it is painful, that it is long. So maybe you can share in and help people move through the fears they may have. So maybe this person is has accepted that calling, but they're still afraid of the actual process itself. So as someone who does this process for people, what can you share so that people can understand what the process is like, and how the process um is beneficial in the end? Yes.
Well, I always say to people, you know, part of my healing, a person who's supposed to go through Ukuthwasa, is advising them to go out there and seek other forms of help that they may feel like would help them. That's actually part of me healing them. Why? Because it's mostly only after you've realized that this is the only way for me to heal that you are able to receive healing. So I always tell people, go out there, be certain, be sure of the fact that you should be going through Ukuthwasa, and be certain, be assertive that you are really doing this, because there's no other person that can come into your life and persuade you otherwise. You are the only person that can do that. Your inner self can be the only self that persuades you to take the healing. You understand me? So by actually advising them to go seek help somewhere else, may it be at a certain church, may it be at a certain traditional healer, then so be it. In that process, the delaying process, I call it the delaying process because once you know that you should be going for training, then you should be preparing yourself to go through training. So by going up and down, north, east, south, and west, trying to find some kind of solution, you are delaying the process. It may be meant for you to delay the process because I always say to people, trust the process. Life on its own has its own way of running things, in which I feel that we need to go along with the flow. Don't get too comfortable, but don't force things either. Go with the flow. Once it's time for you to take a stand and go into training, you will obviously know it. Once you are in the right place, once you've met the right Gobela, I tell you, you will know it. It might be not now, it might be not in a year's time, but when the time is right, the teacher will avail themselves. One way or the other, you're going to find the relevant person, the person that will lead you into this path. It's not really fixed as to how long the process of Ukuthwasa takes. It's always different with different people. The minimum months I've taken with some of my trainees was 3 months. Well, with some, it goes to up to a year with my personal experience. So it's only, as I've already said, it's only if you trust the process, let everything flow on its own, that you will be able to adjust into the system and heal and not disrupt any part of healing. So it's not really a fixed time frame, but different with different people.
Yeah. Yes, this is so good to hear, because we, in the last couple of episodes, we were actually addressing the way that sometimes people they hurry the process, or they are told that you have to initiate right now by some sangomas, some traditional healers, and then they rush into the process, and then the process doesn't go in the way that they would have expected. Or rather, also, that there are some people who you know, they will go for a consultation and then they learn this information that they're called, and then they're told you have to initiate. Right now, if you don't initiate, you're going to die. So there is also that conversation of how that pressure can create fear, and that is not everyone who receives the information you just said of trusting the process, you know. And I think because this is a new world for people, it's very difficult to actually know when it's time to know
Exactly.
what you're supposed to actually look for. How would you know it's time, Mukulu, like for you to go through initiation? Are they specific in your experience? Are there some things that might happen? Of course, this is different with everyone, but are there things that might happen that may help someone who right now they're really confused? They have been told to trust the process, but they don't actually know what that means in a practical sense. Like, how will I know it's time?
Well, in my experience, when it's really time for you to start the initiation, you will probably get and feel highly overwhelmed. Like you are in a space, but you feel like that you cannot breathe. You cannot take it anymore. Everything really isn't going your way. Like it really gets you into a very dark tunnel. Like the one that you feel like, okay, I am not escaping this. Well, you can have a calling for probably 5 years or so, and in the years you're not really ready, and the spirits are not really ready to go into initiation. It's cool. It's that like that in that period, you will feel like, okay, I can still go on. I can still go on. It's 6 a.m. I can go on to 9 a.m. feeling okay. When that time comes, you won't even feel like 5 minutes is is less time. Like it's you will feel like 5 minutes is a whole 24 hours. Like you really cannot I cannot articulate it quite well because with everybody it's different. But one thing I can tell you is you will really feel the wrath. You will feel and you will see that this is it. I am feeling, I feel like I'm going deeper and deeper with time, deeper and deeper into a very dark tunnel. And I don't even know whether I am going to survive this or not. Well, if addressing the one on finding the right Gobela, which I think it should tap it. Well, I think when you go for consultation with someone, then they tell you that, okay, you need to toss her, like it's urgent, you need to toss her or else you're dying. Well, where I toss it, go get tossed on. We were advised never to put fear into people's minds, especially the one that has to deal with death. You are supposed to bring light to people, into people's lives. You are supposed to bring hope. Now, how is telling somebody that they're about to die, giving them light, shedding light, some light into their life? How is it bringing hope? I mean, like, it's one example of blood-hungry gobelas who are really after money. And remember, this whole process is not about money, it's about saving lives. It's about continuing the legacy
that our forefathers have left for us. So if in this whole process, all you'll be thinking about is the benefits that you'll be getting from the trainees and stuff, and then I think you would be in a wrong path. And such people never go unpunished. That is a promise I always make. They never go unpunished. You are dealing with somebody's ancestors. You are telling lies about somebody's ancestors. Obviously, they are listening in and they are not happy about that. Now, remember how many ancestors that you are angry. How many ancestors are you lying about? What about your ancestors? You are also angering them. You are bringing forth a message that doesn't come from them. So obviously, they are not going to like that. So they never really go unpunished. That one is for sure.
Yeah. Yes, it's part of natural laws.
Exactly.
Yeah, the law of karma. It's not even something you need to concern yourself with, because the universe is wired that it corrects what was not in alignment with divine and natural laws. So
exactly,
that's really important to know. I will have to tell you, Mkulu, I am quiet because the energy is so powerful listening to you.
And
So I'm just listening to my body and I'm like, yoo,
Tico bow.
So I know the ancestors are here and talking through you. So I'm just, yeah, I'm just quiet here. And I think the same is true with everyone, because I'm hearing a lot of God bless you, Mukulu, from Gaho, big ups, a lot of gratitude for this information that you're giving us. So just to tell you just how now we are just in reverence and just receiving this, right? Yes.
Exactly.
So another question is, Mukulu, can someone say no to the calling? Essentially, and what happens if someone just does not want to answer this call? And how can you, is there a way to not answer this call? Yes, that's a question that I think people want to know.
Yeah. And I will answer it this way. Well, it's never an option for one to say no to Ukuthwasa. It's never an option, because you are dealing with elders. They know what's best for you. And even if I'll take this I would say comparison, a person who is going through Ukuthwasa, the phase of being called to go for Ukuthwasa, is like a small child. Now tell me, can a small child tell you that, no mommy, I do not want to eat today for reasons being ABC? Would you let them? That's basically what it's all about. Well, so it's a no. You can never really say no, because there are consequences. There are consequences, and some of them can never be reversed. It may be spiritual consequences. It might be physical consequences, like being disabled by the ancestors. Well, in most cases, it never really rushes to death. The consequences doesn't really rushes to death. You suffer on planet Earth first. And one other thing, with some, we're working with different ancestral spirits. With some, as much as you get elders who are soft on their kids, you get parents who are strict on their kids. So that's just the same thing that's going around in the underworld spirits, with the spirits. Some spirits can ask you, go and carry this legacy, go into training, but then relax. Like there's no much pressure. That's when people think that they have escaped. But no, it's not really escaping. It's not really escaping. Because what you are doing is you are getting the next generation into trouble with something that you could have fixed while you were alive. Take that pain that you are going through now, meditate it and think of it, taking it onto your child. Would it feel okay? Would you be at rest? Would you be okay knowing that you could have fixed this, but you didn't? You chose otherwise. Now your kid is suffering, or your grandkid is suffering because of you, because you are the only person that's on earth right now. Even if they blame the ancestors, they are going to blame them, but they are not present at that time. You are the only person present at that moment. So you are the nearest person to blame. So it's never really an option saying no. And adding on to that, you see, there are different spirits that people mistake for the badimo, the ancestors that needs to go through training. Well, with some ancestors, you don't really need to go through training. You just need different impanders to heal you. That's why some people feel that they were able to escape Ukuthwasa. No, darling, you have not escaped Ukuthwasa. The spirit did not want you to go through the process of Ukuthwasa. You did not escape. So that's the different spirits that really confuses people, and people need knowledgeable people who can be able to address these issues and really sit them down and explain what really is happening. Of course, there are greedy Sangomas out there, there are greedy Gobelas who are always looking for fortunes and stuff, willing to risk everything, willing to go against the universe law. And those are the very same people who will be telling people that you need to go through Ukuthwasa. Well, in actual fact, that's not the real issue. That's not what you're supposed to go through. And it's very painful. It hurts me knowing that there are a whole lot of people out there who are going through phases of life that may seem like they need to go through Ukuthwasa, but in real cases, and the truth is, they really do not need to go through Ukuthwasa. Like I would say, let me tap into this issue fast. This issue of leaving behind your blood, which mostly is from the fathers. Not introducing your children to your ancestors as a father can really hinder their future, can really hinder their now. And by so not doing, it may cause your child to show symptoms of people who need to go through Ukuthwasa. Now, if you're not there at all, if you cannot introduce them to your ancestors, that child would probably have to go through Ukuthwasa because you couldn't play your role as a father. You couldn't introduce your child to their ancestors, your ancestors. So the only way for them to be introduced to those spirits is through Ukuthwasa process. Now you see that you've caused a whole bump into an innocent soul, a bump that you could have fixed way back, but by just simply lighting candles, using impepo, using bokaka jwa to appease the ancestors and acknowledge the child. You know, it's such issues that really need time for discussion, my sister. It needs time, and I'm very sure that at some point I'll be able to come back here and discuss some other issues that I feel are very relevant. I really need to be explained to mostly Botswana, who really do not know what is going on. I don't blame them. I don't blame them in any way. They don't know what's going on, but it doesn't matter. Not knowing what's going on is not the issue. The issue is, are you willing to get information from relevant people? That's where you can help yourself. So yeah, I was tapping on that, passing on.
Sure. Whew, so much wisdom and transmissions and understanding coming through. Like I said, I'm just listening to my body at this point because the energy is very high. Okay, so before I go to Amhelan's question, just also wanting to add in with some people, because what I like, Mukulu, is how you're explaining the different reasons, how different it is with each person and each lineage when it comes to the Twasa process and the initiation process, which really speaks to why you really do need to discern and take your time until you know for sure that this is the path for you and you understand, you've gotten the revelation on why you must take this path. Because this path, like you mentioned in the beginning, your life will change and you will begin to see the world in ways that right now you can't even comprehend, because you'll be living in two worlds. You'll be living in the physical world and the spiritual world. That will be your life full time. So this is a decision that really needs time, and I'm hoping that for people who are watching this, they're getting the revelation and understanding. And this is part of why I was doing this series, to help us understand. And when you started to speak about, fathers who are not there for their bloodlines, that really breaks my heart, because I'm also thinking about how in Botswana there is some statistics. The jury is out whether this is real statistics that speaks about how the current generation, we have 80% of women as single mothers. And you then wonder what's going to happen to these children of the 80% of mothers who don't have their father there active to help them, be there for the bloodline to be balanced, for the healing to happen collectively. So that's also just something that has come to my mind on the healing of the ancestors, as you call them, Badimo Baselegae as well, that people will have to heal. And perhaps is this why there is an outburst of people going to initiation? Like, it feels like currently everyone is going through the Twasa process. Is this part of the reason?
It is part of the reason, of many reasons. Well, in my personal experience, I've come across a lot. Like I would say, 90% of my clients who come for consultation, who are going through a whole lot of different ups and downs in life, it's mainly due to their father's side of the family not being in their lives. I'm saying a 90%, and I'm not kidding. It breaks one's heart because it's a simple thing that needs to be done at that specific time that you continue with your life. But a lot of them come here going deep into a dark tunnel, going through turmoils in life, going through a huge deal. Some even go through depression, the resentment, the actual feeling of loss, because you when you're not feeling intact with your roots, when you're not feeling that you belong, that's where you feel a whole series of feeling lost. Like you really, even if you have everything in life, but there is a piece in you, there is a void that really needs to be filled, and only your paternal side of the family can fill it. So it's really a problem. It's really a problem, and it's eating people up, and it's not funny. A lot of people are going through hell because of this issue, and really needs to be addressed. Only because of badimo papa not being present in your life, your paternal ancestors. They are very important. Remember, Setswana, they say, ngwana ha se wa mosadi ke wa monna. The child is not of the mother but the father. They should be carrying the surname of the father. They should be carrying the culture of the father. So if they are not present, if the father is not present, then what's going to happen to the child? It's really depressing. It really fucks up a lot. Excuse me for my bad language. It really, yeah, it really, yeah.
People are, yes. I mean, it's the French language, but it's very true. What time is
they have that.
No, but you are speaking facts, Mukulu. So we understand. You're speaking facts. And so for me, as someone who I absolutely love Africa and African history, this is why I'm doing this work with a lot of African people. When we're speaking about the loss and disconnection with our father bloodline, we can also see it how it's connected to our history, to how, through the wars, our fathers had to leave home to go and fight, but also through colonization. Since even before colonization, the slavery era, the last 500 years, where Africa was basically colonized and taken over and hijacked, that's the beginning of the disconnection and disintegration of the family system. And because truly in African culture, the idea of the father not being in that children's life is so foreign to our ancient ancestors. They will not understand how, because that is really the whole purpose of being a father, or that's the role of the man, So we also have to look at and really see how all these things, as you said in the very beginning, all of us, we are healing things of the past. And for us to truly understand what happened, we must go to the past and reconcile with it. And we must reconcile with how slavery and colonization has affected us, how the tribal wars and civil wars, any other wars that have happened have also affected and broken down the family system, and how currently in our generation, you look back at how we currently do relationships, and how it's very individualistic. It's no longer within the original blueprint of how we're supposed to live with each other as people, how we're supposed to build family and community. And
Yeah.
it explains why there is a huge, from a perspective of psychology, there is a huge surge of and mental health issues, mental illnesses, a lot of depression and anxiety and overwhelm, which can be taken as the
Exactly.
calling, but sometimes it's really actually about what we call the core wounds that we have as people. Every
Exactly.
child desires to belong, as we've been speaking, and every child desires to feel loved by their parents, by their mother and their father. And these wounds, if we are not feeling that we were loved, and instead of feeling loved, we feel abandoned, like my father abandoned me, I wasn't enough for my father.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
becomes a huge problem that affects your whole life, and it affects your relationships. It makes it very difficult if you are a woman to trust men. And if you are a man and you didn't have a father in your home, it can also be very difficult to know how to basically use your natural gift as a masculine, which is to protect, to take care, because you didn't see that. So how
Exactly.
are you to know what to do? So this conversation is so important. And Mukulu, my question is, are you having a lot of men as students? Are you helping men remember this? Because most of the time we have a lot of conversation. I know myself, I do a lot of conversations with women, but this conversation needs men because, as you just shared with us, a lot of some of the situations we're having around ancestors are connected to the paternal bloodline.
Yeah,
And this means the paternal bloodline, the men have to step up because,
exactly.
and what's happening?
Uh, well, I would say unfortunately for me, I have a few uh initiates, initiates. So I would take it to my other clients, my other male clients. I always make sure that I touch base on that. Why? Because now it gets interesting. Remember how when you help conceive a child and you go AWOL, like you disappear. Man, you are leaving a part of you behind. Because with the ancestral world, this is how interesting it is. Even before you acknowledge that child, your ancestors already know him or her. So a part of your ancestors are left behind with that child. They only need for you to acknowledge that indeed that is my child and play the role that needs to be played by the paternal side of the family. So by abandoning a child, you are actually abandoning a part of your ancestors. Now that's where a lot of males get their problems. Well, for a person to holistically function, they need both sets of ancestors. Now tell me, if you leave part of your ancestors behind, abandon them, what's going to happen to you? A certain area in your life will not be fulfilled. Why? Because the same ancestor that was supposed to be working on that area is left behind. So it's not only that you are making the child suffer, you are also suffering too, because you have left a part of yourself behind and you have abandoned a part of yourself. So it's interesting. It's not only about the child, but the father too.
Ooh, I love this. I love this conversation so much, Mukulu. Thank you, thank you, thank you. for coming here and for sharing with us. A message from Amkhelang for our last question. Hello, Amkhelang, thank you for joining us. She's saying, Thokozani Bukoko and Bumkulu. I never know how to say this one. Lesedi Gobela, Hamaku, I think. Yes. Thank you for the amazing session. How does one get in contact with Mukulu for a consultation booking?
Well, I have a Facebook page, but I think they will be. I'm being disturbed by somebody. So don't.
Okay.
Keep busy. Okay. I'll just have to continue. This is my duty. This is who I am. You sometimes get people from from different walks of life. Well, with this one, they're supposed to toss up, but they escaped from the initial Ukuthwasa, so they're a bit mentally disturbed. So you have to understand. But they're not a problem. They'll just sit here and listen in. Cool. Okay. I have a Facebook page that they can. My profile name is Moemedi Mphahlele. So they can always contact me there. Leave inboxes. I'll share with my details with them, my contact details with them there. So yeah.
So also, if you saw this in our website, Joy Mohami, where we were introducing the speaker for today, under Mukulu's picture, it says learn more here. When you click that, it will redirect you to his Facebook page, and then you can contact him from the Facebook page. So Joy Mohami, a Warriors of Life page. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mukulu. I actually believe that your guest is telling us time to finish. It's a message from the ancestors. So thank you so much for the wisdom. I've learned so much, and I believe everyone has learned so much. Thank you, and
you're very much welcome.
God
bless you too.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, everyone. We are continuing to do this next week, Tuesday, and wrapping up in the next week. We're left with 1 week of this series. So come and join us. We are continuing with the series, and we'll be sending you the replay and all the information of how to contact Mukulu and the next guest. Yes.
So guys.
Thank
Okay,
you,
I have a bit of a request. One last request, please.
Yes.
Can I sing in order to close the session?
Yes.
Okay. Maya Zulu bengleyo ngwana bengleyo Maya Zulu sengleyo ngwana bengleyo ngwana senglele Zulu. Thokozani, I'm very, very happy to have been part of the session. Now I think it's time for me to leave. As you can hear,
Marcos, thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.